Welcome to the Camps Bay Guy podcast, your go-to podcast for everything real estate related in Cape Town. Now, let's get into the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Camps Bay Guy podcast. Today, I'm joined by the CEO of M2Bio Sciences, Jeff Robinson. Jeff, thank you so much for joining me on the Camps Bay Guy podcast.
Josh, it's a real pleasure. Great to be with you, buddy.
Yeah, good to have you here. It's so special to have you on the podcast today, as you were the man who gave me the idea to become the Camps Bay Guy. We might not even be sitting here having this conversation today if it wasn't for an Instagram live chat we had back in 2021. How have you been, Jeff? What you been up to lately? Welcome.
Yeah, have you got a few hours? No, been doing great, my friend. Everything is going well. Just back recently from Phuket in Thailand. I'll be in Cape Town now for a couple of weeks before I go back off to Dubai, which is where I'm a resident of. But I do spend quite a bit of time here in Cape Town, which is cool. And but looking forward to getting back to Dubai. It's been a little bit chilly here for my bones, my friend.
Yeah, no, it's been the Cape Town weather hasn't been kind to us this winter.
Yeah.
All the rain and come back in summer. Go enjoy the hot weather in Dubai. I know it's going to be nice and hot there, so go and enjoy that.
It's 50s right now.
Wow. Sure. Have you seen that all the people from Dubai are now coming to Cape Town during winter? I don't know if you've noticed that. There's quite a lot of people from the UAE because it's too hot.
Well, it's interesting. So there's a lot of people so good for you guys. A lot of people from Dubai, a lot of Russians that are coming here to buy property. They have been for a couple of years. There are a lot of people in Thailand, a lot of Russians, tons of Russians, especially in Phuket, that look at Cape Town as an area to buy property as well. It is what it is. They're for them, they look at this asset here as being very inexpensive.
Yeah. Well, with the exchange rate, it's very nice. They're laughing all the way to the bank. I wanted to quickly interrupt this episode to let you know that you can book a 30-minute meeting with me to discuss any of your real estate needs. Just click on the link in the description below and schedule your appointment. Now let's get into the show. Could you start by giving our listeners a bit of a background on yourself, what you do, and where you come from?
Sure. So again, do you have a couple hours? No, the reason I say that is, I will. I'll keep it brief. As you get, obviously as you get older, I'm now in my 60s, so I'm not a spring chicken anymore, and I've been working for over 40 years. But originally I started off in the capital markets, and then from the capital markets, I found a fancy for biotechnology. I loved medicine. I was always a very curious individual. And I always loved numbers. And I was always thinking, how can I kind of put medicine and numbers together? And then I started getting very fascinated by artificial intelligence in the late 1990s, and then got involved with various projects in that field. And then today, I bring it fast forward quickly and very brief, as you said. Now we use AI in our business, especially in our mixed martial arts league, which is called M2MMA. And that's where we put on fights across Asia. And what we do that's a little bit different than any other mixed martial arts league is on the front end, we're a typical promotions company, that puts on the MMA fights and the Muay Thai fights and stuff, and it's fantastic. But on the back end, what we really are is a big data AI company that uses hardware and software to monitor, collect data related to all the punches and kicks and everything around the brain, so that we can look at inflammatory conditions in real time and hopefully develop out protocols to save athletes from CTE, concussion, CTE, and dementia down the road. There is nobody else doing this like we are doing it. It's my passion. It is what I've always wanted to do something like this in terms of, I look at these guys in the ring and they're beating up on each other, which is interesting. It's fun. But I would much prefer to know that there's safety protocols, not just in mixed martial arts, but in rugby, football, hockey, and the list goes on. So at the moment, I can tell you there are very few protocols. So we're developing out that very cool database. If you can picture kind of the Google of brain, anything related to brain injury, that would be us.
Wow, that sounds like some amazing work that you guys are doing. I'm very excited to see how that impacts those different sports. And yeah, I think it's gonna be amazing. And what are your views on AI? I mean, you've been involved in AI for quite some time. Obviously, some leaps and bounds have been made in the last few years with AI. Some people are very scared about AI taking over their jobs and robots going. And I mean, us as real estate agents, what happens if a robot can go and do a viewing for you? Obviously, it'll save you time, but is a robot going to be able to sell someone a house? Then we're going to be replaced. What are your views?
I mean, listen, I'm a massive believer in the potential of AI. I look back recently at some of the events I was holding in 2012, all about AI in medicine. And this is when people thought I was off my rocker. That's 12 years ago. And you think about how many guys, how many guys have been doing this for just that amount of time? Not many. But I actually predate that. I go back another 10 years. So it's always, again, been my passion to figure out, how can I take away the possibility of error, right? When a doctor's looking at a patient, and a classic example would be an X-ray, right? Radiologist looking at an X-ray, and he happens to miss something, whereas AI will not miss it. It will deliver that 99.9% perfect result and have the ability of prediction technology to look forward, to say, hey, in cancer, you've got this issue down here in your lung. If you don't do X, Y, and Z, it will go up to here, and there's a 92% prediction rate that is a correct area. Whereas you see, a doctor can't see that nor do that. He can say it. He can say, I think it's going to move, right? I think it's going to get bigger. It's going to move up into your lungs. But he doesn't have any percentage to be able to say, with accuracy, here's what it's going to be doing. And that's what I love. And it goes back to how we started the conversation earlier, which is, I love the combination of math and medicine because you bring precision into everything that you do. It brings context. If you're a patient and a doctor says, you've got cancer, well, how long do I have to live? Not too long. Well, what does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. You have to be able to say to a patient, you have 5 to 6 months. That's it. Right? And with great predictability, he's going to be able to say, with 95% chance, that's what you have left. So it's those types of things, being able to give context, wrap context around everything, that for me is so important. And when it comes to your industry, the real estate industry, it's the same thing for me. I mean, you and I have spoken about it way before, but putting AI into real estate in a big way, there are a couple companies that do it, but it's pretty boring stuff. They use a few algorithms to look at, area prices around the area matching and, comparing properties. It's been around for a long time, but you need to look at a much more robust system, which are out there. They're not expensive. But I'll tell you, the biggest trick to AI, the biggest trick is it's about the ability to think critically and logically. It's the ability to say to yourself, what do Josh as a realtor says to himself, what is it that I want to do by next Friday? I want to close on that house in Camps Bay, and I want 20 million rand for it. Reverse engineer that through the steps. What does that mean? So critical thinking, logical thinking, mathematics will give you that logical scenario. And most people don't have that ability, right? So remember, AI is just the ability to look. Yeah, AI is just the ability to guess correctly the next numbered word.
I see. So it's just going to make us much more accurate and much more efficient. It's not going to replace us. You don't think it's going to?
No, it'll always. It's just like
I see.
nothing's gonna replace you guys
Yeah.
yet. But it is a tremendous tool
Yeah.
for you guys to get involved with. Just like doctors, it's not
Yeah.
gonna replace
For sure.
doctors, but it's going to make doctors just so much better.
100%. Yeah, and you never know what will happen down the line.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very exciting. And I think those people that are using it, I mean, I'm already using it in my business. I mean, it's helping me write a description for a property on ChatGPT. It's helping me send 100 messages to people rather than having to send them all individually, things like that, and helping me remind people about things. So it's definitely helping me on those sort of things. But I think there's much more that I can do to bring AI in, and that will obviously make my business make me a much more profitable agent and be able to do a lot more business. So
100%.
Yeah, very exciting.
Yeah, I always encourage everybody as much as they can to get involved in it. And the best way and the easiest way to get involved at the moment is go on YouTube and just watch a bunch of great videos from YouTube guys that are well, they're in the industry and they do have a good track record. Watch some great videos. Most of it will be probably really complicated, but as you start to spend time listening and watching, it starts to become just like a puzzle. AI is just a puzzle. How do I move from here to here? Oh, I see. I've got to take this and move it over here. Oh, I've got to move this over here. And if you like that type of stuff, logical thinking, it's amazing, amazing stuff.
For sure. 100%. And Jeff, you have over 30 years of experience in the stock market and have been involved in various successful companies and biotechnology. 40 years now. My bad. And you've been involved in successful companies in biotechnology, high technology, and artificial intelligence, as we've said. Could you share some of the highlights of your journey?
Jeez. So some of the highlights, yeah. I mean, I'll do it in a macro style picture because the micro picture would be, again, it would take forever. But I mean, I actually started trading stocks. I started trading stocks when I was 10 years old. So when we were around the breakfast table, my dad made it mandatory for us guys. We woke up early. We had to go in the pool, jump in the pool, swim a bunch of lengths. We had to go do exercise. We had a gym in the house. We had to do all that. And I'm talking 6 a.m, right? Had to do all this, go upstairs, get showered, put on your uniform, put the Brill cream in the hair. Don't have any of that anymore. Put the Brill cream in the hair and then report to my dad in his room, his bedroom, bathroom. And then he'd say, okay, you're good. Go downstairs. Then we would go downstairs for breakfast. My mom would make a really nice breakfast of some sort. And each one of us had a section of the paper. And my dad would quiz us on the paper. He would say, okay, Josh, what happened in New York yesterday that was remarkable? And you'd have to be able to know what went on. You'd have to say, well, yesterday was the New York Marathon, and it was won by a Kenyan guy who ran the marathon in 2 hours and 2 minutes, right? He would make you want to be on top of news and everything daily. And in the stock market, myself, my 2 brothers, and my dad and my mom, we all had this little account. And it was funded, of course, by my dad, my mom, but it was not a lot of money, but it was fun. And we were asked our opinions always, like, okay, guys, we have this little gold stock, or we have this, or we have that. Tell me why you think we should continue to hold it. Should we sell it? Tell me why. And you would actually have to have this I'm 10 years old, and I'm discussing on a very granular level valuations in companies. But it's funny, that's what got me interested in the capital markets, because I knew that my dad loved this. All three of the brothers were all involved in the capital markets. So we grew up in that space. And then we did have some very tremendous successes in various industries, in biotechnology, in the oil and gas sector. And then, but my passion did lie in the medical sector, biotechnology sector. And I guess there's something I love about looking at big moonshots. Like, cancer is a massive moonshot, and will it be solved quickly? No, but certain forms of cancer are definitely getting solved. But you look at areas like longevity, or in particular nowadays, diabetes, your gut, the connection between the brain and the gut, and you look at what are we eating nowadays, our microbiome, and then that stuff just always fascinated me. Like, why is there so much junk food on the shelves in the store? So I wanted to make a
Yeah.
difference. As you get older in life, that's kind of what you want to do. And so
Wow.
now that's one part of one area in our company. It's nutritionists. That's a division called M2Bio, where we create products based on peer-reviewed science that we do at the University of Pretoria. We have big labs up there, and we create products that are, generally speaking, for the gut. And these are, I'm a big believer, of course, what we ingest is what affects the brain. And my big areas of interest are mental health and definitely diabetes, obesity. And if there are things that I can do, little contributions that hopefully one day I can look back and go, look at that. That company that's still cooking, that baby was mine. And look what we did. Whatever that impact is,
Yeah.
I want to be able to have that impact and be able to pat myself on my own back and just say, hey, Jeff, job well done. You served a purpose here.
Wow. Amazing. I'm very excited to see what these companies do become. I'll definitely be one watching.
Yeah.
I'd like to take a moment to introduce you to our foreign exchange partner, Currencies Direct. If you need to move money in or out of South Africa, just let me know and I'll connect you with their expert team. I recently had the opportunity to sit down with Kobus de Kock to discuss their services in more detail.
I would like to introduce our Forex partners, Currencies Direct. I'm currently seated with Kobus de Kock. What makes Currencies Direct stand out from other foreign exchange companies in South Africa?
I think we've got the global footprint, and the process of getting their funds here is as quick as a day. And we specialize in property.
Why is it beneficial to use a Forex company such as Currencies Direct when you're either bringing money in or taking money out of the country?
The process, the onboarding, and by onboarding I mean registration, is a very easy, customer-friendly process that they follow. The client has basically a private Forex dealer. I think that puts them at ease that they can actually speak to a person.
Thanks so much, Kobus. Really appreciate it. If you guys need any Forex help, please contact myself and I'll put you in touch with Kobus. And we really appreciate you guys being a part of the podcast.
And what sparked your? I think we've already covered the next question, which was, what sparked your interest in the stock markets. But I think being raised by a father like that who wanted his kids to learn about the stock market and read the newspaper and go to gym in the morning, it definitely, now I can see why you are the man you are today. That's amazing.
It's funny. I'll tell you, I always share the story. It's a quick 1-minute story that as we're young kids, we don't want to abide by those types of rules, like getting up early and going in the pool and this and that. It's kind of like, leave me alone. Let me sleep in. My dad put up with none of that. I mean, my dad was a tough cookie, a real tough cookie, not just a tough cookie. But
Wow.
if you did what he asked, right, that you were extremely well rewarded. Trust me, we lived a great life, beautiful trips around the world and stuff. But you had to work for it. Nothing was free. And he wanted us to understand that in life, there is no free ride. You want great things in your life, you got to work for it. So I actually, as you get older, you start to appreciate that.
Yeah, it's like when I was at boarding school, I didn't hate my teachers or hate my schoolmasters and things like that, but there were certain people you didn't particularly enjoy because of the things they made you do. And now you look back at that experience and you were like, I wish I had given it more when I was in that situation. I wish I had worked harder. Maybe I would be somewhere different. Obviously, I'm happy with where I am and what I'm doing now, and I'm passionate. But you always look back and you think, flip, if I had worked a little bit harder, I would want my kids to go through that so that they one day become exceptional human beings and do something great in the world. So amazing.
One last note, on that last little note there, Josh.
Sure.
People people do that because they care, right? If you
Yeah.
did not, if your teacher did not care about Josh, he wouldn't say anything to you. He just lets you bugger off and do whatever you want. He doesn't care. But when a guy sees,
Yeah.
like I did with, it's funny, like with you, when you came, you said, what do you think? Should I do this or do that? I'm like, dude, you got to go into real estate business. You're an amazing. I saw that incredible entrepreneurship
Yes.
ability that you had. And I'm looking at this guy, and I said it to you back then. I said, you're going to be a superstar in this industry. It takes time. But if I were to bet on anybody, it would have been Josh. And I told you that flat out. And you're now living out that journey. You're doing extremely well. You're such a bright, talented guy. You're such a personable character that how can anyone resist not wanting to work with you? And that's what I saw when, you and I knew each going back, I guess, 4 or 5 years ago, something like that, when we first met. You were that guy. And I'm like, wow, this guy's a dynamite entrepreneur, and he's going to make waves big time. And that's what you're doing. I mean, I can only imagine 10 years from now. Woo.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we're obviously doing the podcast now, and we've got definitely a lot more things in the pipeline. And yeah, it's just trying to find the right opportunities, I guess. But yeah, thanks so much for guiding me in that way. And since we last chatted, I see that you've expanded the M2Bio company and brand. What are the latest developments within M2Bio?
So, good question. So we have, So we have the mixed martial arts company now, right? So that's called M2 MMA. We have operations in Asia, Australia, UAE. We will be a very significant player in the industry within about a year or two. And I mean top 5 in the world. Top 5.
Wow.
Top 5.
What, like with the UFC and companies like that, in terms of like in that sort of
we'll be right
bracket?
there with them.
Okay, wow.
So, we'll be right there with them. We have some incredible plans that are being executed on right now with incredible people. We were able to I've brought on guys like Chris McCormick, who is, well known as being the GOAT, he is the greatest triathlete of all time. And so he's with the company.
Wow.
John Stephenson, who's actually originally South African, but he lives in Australia. Gold medal winner, the 200 meter, 400 meter silver, gold medal, world champion, the whole 9 yards. John's on the team. Then able to bring on guys like Grandmaster Woody, who's, the most well-revered, respected Grandmaster in the world. And I brought on Sagat. Sagat is a famous guy from Street Fighter. Do you know that game called Street Fighter? You may know it. It's one of those games. Yeah. It's a huge.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So Sagat's with the company, and there are a bunch of guys about to join the company next week or two that all these names. They're huge people, and amazing. I love what we're doing there. We're keeping the beautiful traditions of mixed martial arts, so MMA fighting or Muay Thai. We're keeping all of those, but what we're doing now is injecting science into it. Artificial intelligence, biotechnology. So that we're helping these athletes so that they, by the time they're 40, won't have dementia. They'll be happily, married with their kids, their wife. I've seen it far too often where I see a 40 or 50-year-old guy that spent way too many years in the ring, getting his head knocked around. And the poor guy is not doing well at all at the age of 50. And he's married and he's got kids. And it's like, oh my word. So that's one part of what we do. The other ones, I'll just go through them quickly. So one is the M2Bio, the gut-brain company that develops all sorts of products related to the Mediterranean diet, looking out for diabetes, longevity, things like that. We have the sustainability company called M2Bio, which is very cool. We've developed a packaging solution made from a composite resin that we've developed by combining hemp and by combining mycelium. So it's very interesting. The product actually grows. Wow. We grow the product in the lab, and then we stop the growing process. We put it into molds, and then that becomes the packaging solution. We have clients already in Cape Town. People love it. Obviously, it's 100% you take your package, you just throw it in your garden, and off you go. So stuff like that I love. So that's the sustainability division.
Amazing.
We have the food division now, where we have almost 70 SKUs now, 70 different products. We're in about 400 stores now across the Cape, 400 or 500 stores, something like that. And soon we'll be branching out to other jurisdictions around the world. And then we have the what other divisions? We have the M2 Sentient division, M2Bio Kids division. Very quickly on those, M2Bio Kids is all about, I feel that there's a huge void in giving parents information about their children from the age of 0 to 5. And it's like, what do I feed my kid? What's he saying to me? And in a nutshell, we're using AI by using hardware and software that goes into like a rattler. So a rattler, you give your baby and it's in his crib or whatever. I use that to look at motions and sounds and all that kind of stuff 24 hours a day to develop what it is that the baby's actually doing and saying. When he's truly hungry, when he's not hungry. And eventually I'll be able to discover what the language is that the baby's speaking. I find it so bizarre.
That's amazing.
I find it so bizarre that after all these years, we don't understand what our kids, we don't make the effort.
Yeah.
It's like we sit there and mimic the kid. Dad, 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 dad. It's like, hang on a second. Let's figure out what he's trying to say to you. No one puts the effort into trying to figure that out. And then the last one is the M2 Sentient, which is a division that uses the sentient sciences to deal with mental health issues. So things like when you wake up in the morning, what's the proper music that you should be listening to, the proper smells in the air, artwork, all that type of stuff that can set you up so that you're not ruminating first thing in the morning. It sets your brain up for the right path forward. Most depression, and I do say most, is set off, it's triggered first thing in the morning. You wake up and you start to ruminate immediately. That's why people don't want to get out of bed, because they figure, well, if I go back to sleep, I can get through this, but they can't. The brain starts to think on the old what if. Everything's a what if. What if I can't do that? What if this happens? What if that? And 99% of those things don't happen, but it's the way the brain is it's wired that way. And if we can change that through science and AI to learn about the behavior of the person and then give them the necessary tools, we do that through an app on the phone. And then we have an oil and stuff like that. So yeah, all that type of stuff I love. Those are some of the divisions. And I think that's it.
Amazing.
You never know, though. I think that's it.
In the last 5 years, I mean, it sounds like you have grown so much. I mean, from obviously I was involved with you with the marketing on M2Bio with we had Medspresso and the Liviana oil. And I mean, now, I mean, it's crazy. It's amazing to see how much you guys have grown in that 5 year space. So, well done.
Yeah. And then our
given your extensive, sure.
And then University of Pretoria as well, we have the most sophisticated labs in all of Africa are our labs at the UP. That's where we conduct phytomedicine.
Wow.
We use artificial intelligence for drug discovery. So the labs there are unbelievable. So a bunch of incredibly smart people running all around doing incredibly smart stuff.
Exciting, amazing. It's gonna be cool to see what you guys come up with within the next 5 years.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and so given your extensive background in obviously investments and the markets, what are your thoughts on the current real estate market in Cape Town and as well as globally?
So yeah, good, great question. So Cape Town, it's interesting looking at it as an expat because I get a totally different lens. And what I have noticed in Cape Town in about the last year is I have seen much more activity, not just in your sector in real estate specifically, but I live down in the waterfront. And a year ago, there were nowhere near the amount of big boats coming in. So I look out here and I'm like, man, that's a lot of activity going on. Then I look around in Camps Bay, where I used to live, that new hotel that's going up. Now you kind of go through the CBD in Cape Town, you see all sorts of construction going on. None of this was going on a year or two ago. So that's good news. Now, of course, Cape Town's benefiting from so many people that have left Joburg to come here. And I got to tell you, it is, I spend a lot of time I spend a lot of time in Joburg, but I don't go far. I go to Melrose Arch. That's my bunker. I feel safe in there. We drive up to University of Pretoria, do our work, come home. But I mean, I took a spin around Joburg. My word, it is in a shambles. And it's so sad to see, that beautiful city and the powerhouse that it used to be. And you look at the CBD now of Joburg, whew, I mean, it's just unreal. But it's all of that. Yeah, a lot of wealth has definitely moved from Joburg to here. I mean, Joburg homes, as you would know, a good home in Joburg in a good area, valuations are down in the last 5 years, 50%, if not more.
Yeah, people are struggling to give their homes away in Joburg.
100%.
It's crazy. Yeah.
So you come here and it is different. There is a built-up, pent-up demand for property in Cape Town. And so that's definitely having a good effect for homeowners. It's maybe crowding out renters a little bit. But in terms of your industry and your what you're doing and buying and selling property for customers, I mean, it's good for you guys. You're doing well. So
for sure.
But it's funny. Overall, I see Cape Town. I see it doing well at the moment. And the only caveat that I always throw into that, which is so unfortunate, and you and I have spoken about it before, is civil unrest. And that's something that could quickly turn the tide here very quickly. And I just hope and pray it doesn't happen. But eventually, if people if they can't afford to get a home, and they can't afford these things, and you guys have been through this before. You know what's going to happen ultimately. And that's not a good scene. Yeah. So, you got to
they need to find a solution.
Figure out that.
Yeah, low cost housing, or I don't know, government has to implement some sort of scheme to combat that, because it is what we are seeing. Your average South African cannot afford to buy a house on the Atlantic seaboard or in the city center, or in the city bowl of South Africa. It's the ultra top 5% who can afford to live in these areas. It's your average. You're going to have to move into the northern suburbs, outskirts of the southern suburbs, if you're in like a lower income sort of bracket. So I think you're right in saying that. It's definitely something that the government does need to address. And there is a shortage of housing as well. There's not enough properties available, even though they're building all these new constructions. A lot of them are investment properties from people that are not even living in South Africa. A lot of people from abroad are buying these properties because they're getting better returns on that money in South Africa than if you bought a place in London, or if you bought a place wherever, because your rental return is, your ROI is a high percentage. So it's something that does need to be addressed. Maybe some sort of act or plan needs to come into place that allows your average South African to be able to afford at least an apartment somewhere in Cape Town.
Yeah, you're spot on, Josh. It's called the crowding out effect. And I mean, on the surface, it looks good for you and other people that are homeowners. Like, oh, look at that! Finally, my house is going up, appreciating in value. But then you look at that's not across the whole population. It is across, as you mentioned, 5%. You've got the other 95% sitting there going, whoa, whoa, whoa. What about us? Like, what are we supposed to do? And then within that 95%, you really do have about 55 to 60% who really are destitute. I mean, you can't. There is no other way of kind of describing it. So, what is going to happen when these people just say, I've had enough. I've had enough.
Yeah.
And then what? And that's what the country, but Cape Town's got to be very careful of. So funnily enough, if I was a real estate investor, which I'm not, but if I was, I would definitely be buying property in Joburg. Right? I mean, you want to buy, you want to buy things.
Eventually, you're gonna have to go back.
Yeah, I mean, you want to buy things when there's blood in the streets, and in Joburg, there's blood in the streets. So if you're a long-term investor, which is what real estate should be, then you go to Joburg now and you buy you buy apartment blocks. You don't just buy an apartment; you buy the whole building.
Yeah.
And then you sit on it for a bit, you think about it, and then eventually you clean it up and you'll make a fortune. And Cape Town still has a lot of upside, don't get me wrong. It is inexpensive when you compare it to, Dubai, which is where I live and I'm a resident there. It's still very inexpensive. Right? It's super inexpensive here. So, but it's a point. Yeah, point well taken, Josh. You made your points well there. Very important.
Yeah, if they can create enough jobs and get enough skilled people in here, then hey, you never know what could happen to Cape Town. So there's always a flip side to it. But it'll be interesting. The next 5 years will be very interesting to see what happens, for sure. And are there any particular real estate trends or opportunities that you find interesting right now? Obviously, you mentioned you'd buy, if you were an investor, which you're not in real estate, you'd buy in Joburg right now. But is there anything? I mean, even globally. I mean, you mentioned earlier that the Dubai market's quite buoyant.
Yeah, the Dubai market is it's going crazy. It continues to go crazy. I always look at areas with what you call an area play. So in the old days, when we were looking at gold properties or oil and gas properties, if the property here that you were drilling on all of a sudden had a big find, what you would normally do is go out immediately and stake all the areas around it. So if I heard that Josh had this incredible find of, oil and gas right here, I'd have a team of 100 guys out there immediately buying up all the surrounding properties and hopefully beat Josh. You had to physically do it back then. You had to record it, physically do it. So that's called an area play. So for me, the area plays at the moment in the UAE, for me, it wouldn't be Dubai. I mean, I'm a happy renter, but it would be places like Bahrain, Qatar, Saudi. Saudi's going to be enormous. Saudi, as you know, Saudi has provided really all the money to Dubai as an experiment. Years ago, they said to Dubai, here's some money, go have fun. You guys want to, have bars and stuff, go do what you want to do. So they watched this experiment, and now the experiment is kind of like, they're sitting back and saying, it actually worked. So in Saudi right now, they're building 5 hotels, new hotels, that will actually have drinking allowed in the hotel only. And only for the tourists only at the moment. But that's just a sign of things to come, that Saudi eventually will loosen up those types of laws and stuff. So Saudi is a good area I look at the area plays. I don't want to go where everyone is and it's most expensive. You look at London property market is insane. Look at Toronto property market has been crazy, but now all of a sudden, it's like the tide has turned dramatically, like they always do. When something's going way too far up, way too fast, way too high, eventually it reaches a peak and it's like, oh my God, and there's no support underneath. So all of a sudden in Toronto, there are no buyers around. No buyers, period. All of a sudden. So they're having
people
problems.
Just been priced out of the market.
Yeah, well, totally. Dude, you get a studio apartment in Toronto, which is about 250 square feet. So 25 square meters, whatever, right? Studio apartment would cost you about 10 to 12 million rand.
Wow. Gee whiz. No.
Yeah, like how insane is that?
Civil unrest.
Yeah.
No, I'm
I mean,
joking.
it's out of control, right? So the
Sure.
average, I mean, the average price of an average home in Toronto now, which is not a very nice home, not in a very nice area, will run you around 20 some odd million rand average, and it's not a nice home, and it's not in a nice area.
Wow.
So
Sure.
real estate, I tend to look at, where is the carnage in this world? And at the moment, area play for me in South Africa would be Joburg. Not because I would want to move there or buy something and move into it, but as a long-term investor, I can almost guarantee you if you were to buy that building for, 5 million rand, in 10 years time, you'll be able to sell it for 50 million rand. It's just because they've been beaten up so much. So,
yeah. And people have to go back to Joburg. It's the financial hub of South Africa, and it will probably remain to be that. It'll bounce back. I think so. And especially with the new government now.
Yeah, they always do, Josh. All of these things always do. Whether it's stock markets or stocks or oil or gas, they always bounce back. They may get hit hard for a period of time, but that's when you need cash. That's why they always say cash is king. You've got your cash. That's when you go out and you acquire.
Awesome. Yeah. I would like to take a moment to introduce one of my sponsors, Harcourts Real Estate. As many of you know, I've been an agent at Harcourts for just over 3 years, and it has been one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. What truly sets Harcourts apart is culture, as well as the commitment to growth and innovation, both in technology and client interactions. The management team at Harcourts continually seeks to enhance the client experience and make our jobs as agents more efficient and effective. Thanks to Harcourts' incredible support, I've gone from a rookie to joining the Blue Circle Society, an elite group reserved for the top 10 agents in the company each year, within the short space of 3 years. This achievement is no small feat and is a testament to the backing and resources Harcourts has provided me with, allowing me to grow my own brand, the Camps Bay Guy, within the company. The training I've received at Harcourts has helped me become a distinguished luxury sales agent along the Atlantic seaboard. Some of my achievements include the highest sectional title sales in Mooley Point and Greenpoint for 2023. The company culture at Harcourts has fostered a dedication within me to cultivate enduring relationships with my clients, consistently delivering outstanding outcomes for them. I want to extend a huge thank you to Harcourts for partnering with me and sponsoring the Camps Bay Guy podcast. If you would like to find out more about our amazing company, follow the link in the description below. And so moving on, how do you see the integration of technology and real estate evolving in the coming years?
So
I know you're not an expert in the field of real estate, but yeah.
Yeah. So for me, that would be the integration of artificial intelligence for you guys when you're in the field with your mobile phone. I mean, you should be able to have, for instance, I don't know if you have the technology now, but you should be able to scan quickly a home and it should be able to tell you that it's worth 1.4 million. Do you have that?
We don't have that, but they are developing technology like that. So there's a software called Lightstone now where you can actually go and you can you can like take a picture of a property and you can put it into the system and it'll tell you exactly where that property is. It'll give you all the like latest stats on that property. It'll give you like a full report on the property and you'll basically be able to surmise what the value would be. So they are definitely developing systems like that. So yeah, it's exciting to see what will happen.
So one step ahead of that. So you know how you have a plate of food and you kind of scan it and you look at it's got oranges or whatever, and it says the calories are 350 whatever. So think of it that way, but keep in mind that everything on your mobile phone will be all audio based. No more text. Text is 1980s. You're not going to sit here and do all this stuff anymore. You're going to speak to your phone all day long. So when you said you take a picture of the home and then it generates a report, you go back, you read your report. You don't want that. You want to be able to say to your phone, hey, buddy, I'm just taking a picture. Here's the house. It's at 102 Stratford Road. What's that thing worth? Who is the last buyer? And blah, blah, blah. And it tells you immediately, oh, that was Mr. Smith. He paid $4.2 million. He's got a loan at the bank for $3.8 million. And he's got financial difficulties at the moment. Like, all this data is available and it's all out there. So that is where you want to be. It's not hard. That's what I do. So it's not hard to develop these. I mean, it's not easy, but it's not rocket ship science. The technology is there. It's available. But you don't want to, reports and stuff like that are old school. I don't want to have to look at a report and make sense of it. I want the data to tell me, right? So you want it to be pushing you all the important things that you need to know. Like when you wake up in the morning, you should have what's called an agent. So in your case, an agent. Your agent, your double, your twin, Josh too, should be saying, hey, buddy, I scoured the newspaper last night. I noticed a new property at 22 Vicar Avenue. It's going into default. The bank is FNB. The mortgage broker is this guy. Here's his phone number. I sent him an email. I set up a meeting at 9 because I know you were looking for a property. Like, it's all done for you. Do you have that?
No, we don't. But that is exactly. I mean, that's definitely something we can develop. Yeah.
Right. So
we don't have that. We don't have that, but we should.
Right. So that's what you need to have. That's what we do. So you need to be pushed the information, not pull. So you don't want to have to go to a document and have to pull and retrieve. You want to be pushed that information from all the resources that are out there. And
now that I think about it, I think we do have we have something, we have a system, it's called the virtual agent, and I think it actually does tell you. So you can actually scan a building, you can see who stays wherever, and it'll actually give you a score. It'll say propensity to sell on that specific person. So they are sort of developing, and then you can decide, okay, shall I call that person or shall I not call that? You can look at those scores. So quite an interesting one, now that I think about it.
And then it can look at matching that property with your client base or anyone that you want to feed into your database. So it would say, hey, Josh, this fits perfectly for Jeff. Jeff wanted an 8% yearly ROI. This is the perfect one. If you get the building for 5 million rand, XYZ, XYZ.
Yeah.
It's okay. AI is all about connecting the dots.
For sure. Just connecting the dots quickly so that you have a high level view of exactly what needs to happen. And you can then be way more efficient. Yeah. Amazing. I'm understanding now. Awesome.
Yeah,
so I have to come back to our chat back in 2021, which was very pivotal for me. You helped me come up with the Camps Bay Guy brand. And could you share your perspective on that conversation? Obviously that was a while back, and now this whole Camps Bay Guy thing is really taken off. I'd just like to hear, where you saw it going.
Yeah. So it's really cool. So, when you, as a real estate agent, you want to brand yourself with something that people are going to remember, and people can share that name. I remember we were speaking. I said, no one's going to remember to share your name, Josh. In fact, I always remember you as Joshy, right? Because
yes. People call me,
because your mom calls you Joshy. So for me, you're Joshy. You're not Josh. But the Camps Bay Guy, when you're searching on Google, for instance, and you come across, real estate, whatever, and it comes up the Camps Bay Guy. If I'm searching on Google, I go, this guy's cool. Who's he? I gotta know who this dude is. So it's got that immediate impact of having a brand. If it just came up Josh Parsons, it's going to be, well, who cares? You're one of a million other guys. So the Camps Bay Guy, I thought was cool. at the time, I mean, we just came up with that in a second. It was like, call yourself a Camps Bay guy. Let's make it happen. And if you look on the internet, it's guys like that have cool names that are very, very, they're branded so well, and it's memorable. You have to have something that's shareable and memorable. And that's what social media is all about. It's all about wanting to share a story because it's remarkable, it's memorable, and it's catchy. People are always going to remember you as Camps Bay guy. And you see, when you go through the airport and somebody, oh shit, there's the Camps Bay guy, right? It's not going to be, oh, that's John. Is it Josh? Or no, he's the Camps Bay guy. That's it. That's all you need to know.
And it's weird. It's happening now. It's crazy. So I was in a restaurant the other day, and someone came up to me and asked me for a picture. And they were like, "You the Camps Bay guy?" And then they were like, and my mom was with me, and they were like, "You the Camps Bay guy's mom?" Yeah. So it was so funny, but that is it's crazy how things how the brand has kind of really taken off. Yeah, people know me as the Camps Bay guy now. So
amazing.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Imagine in a year or two, we're going to see the newspapers, front of the newspaper. The Camps Bay guy says real estate, and you won't have a name anymore. You're just going to be the Camps. Oh, this is my husband. He's the Camps Bay guy. That's it. Can you reserve a table for two, please? It's the Camps Bay guy. Sorry, I don't go. It's the only name I have.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
that's it is memorable. So yeah, it is working. And what do you find most important when it comes to branding and marketing for any business?
I think it's all about making the connection each and every day with somebody new. So I make a purpose each and every day to reach out to somebody I don't know. So usually LinkedIn, I'll find someone in an area of interest that I can find common ground and compliment them on the work they do. I'm not doing it to do business with them. It's because I'll say, "Hey, Josh, I really love, the work you've put into building homes. I love your architecture style, whatever. I love watching your videos that you do. I really wanted to thank you for putting all that effort in." That's it. And then you find people. I can give you many examples, like the guy from the Daily Maverick about a week ago or two. There was a brilliant article I mentioned to you on sales. Next thing you know, it actually turns out he's the dean of the School of Business at what is it, Holt University or whatever. And I sent him this beautiful message, and it was just like, "Man, you nailed it. What an incredible article. Blah, blah, blah." And why do I do that? Because I know that nobody else does. And when you get a little special, magical message sent to you that says, "Wow, I just wanted to thank you for taking the time to write that article because it really had an impact on me." People sit there and they're like, "Whoa, this guy took the time to thank me? Who is this guy?" And for me, that's one of the most, not one, it is the most critical thing that every entrepreneur has to do each and every day. And don't look at it like a sales pitch, because it's not. You're doing it from the bottom of your heart because someone else out there has done great work and you want to congratulate them. But I can assure you, the reciprocity from that early kind of connection, it comes into play at some point where that guy sends you a message, "Hey, Josh, Camps Bay guy, you remember you sent me that message a year and a half ago. By the way, I'm moving to Cape Town. Can you show me 5 homes?" And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, 100%.
I always, on LinkedIn, every day I get the usual people spamming me with, "We can do this, we can do that." It's like, I tell people, what a pathetic pitch. And I'll say to them, "Is that the best you have?" I do it with emails, I do it with everything. Wow. And they don't know how to respond. Yeah, they don't know how to respond. And there were a couple guys that actually turned around and said, "Yeah, no, I know it is. Can you help me? Can you mentor me? What do I need to do?" So there's one guy that I actually now help with his pitch because that's what he was doing, just spamming people with useless garbage. And he said, "Yeah, I know it is useless. What do I do? How do I become good at this?"
Sure. That's amazing. And I guess that must be one of the hardest parts of your job as well, because as running a company, there must be so many people that are trying to sell you a solution to the problems you face or the things in your business, and you must get so many messages every day of someone trying to sell you the next thing to solve your solution. So trying to find the good solutions and trying to say, and then having to say no to people must be so difficult. But I guess it's like a muscle there.
But it's funny. It's all these people that they're sending you these messages. You'll find that they don't do any homework on me or the company. They have no idea. You know, it's like they'll send me something on, hey, Jeff, Joburg Real Estate, you can earn this, whatever. I'm like, did you see somewhere that I posted somewhere that I'm interested in buying Joburg Real Estate? No, I didn't. So why'd you send me this email? You know, it's like, you know, don't send me anything unless, did I ask for it? No. Well, then get out of my face. Right. And that's where you get permission-based
100%.
marketing, which is just so important. And again, just back to what I said earlier, it's so important every day to meet somebody new, each and every day.
For sure. Developing those relationships and building those relationships over time, that's what is going to make the success of your business. If you're just a transactional person, people aren't going to remember you. They're not going to want to do business with you again. It's those repeat transactions that I think are the most important.
You nailed it. Listen, I'll tell you a little quick one. Somebody introduced me to a person. I won't tell you who they are. They're both very well-known people. And that other person I do a lot of stuff with, basically on a daily basis. And I said to the other person, just out of the blue, left him a voice note on WhatsApp. I just said, hey, buddy, I know you're busy. I don't want to take any of your time. I don't need anything. I just wanted to thank you. I wanted to thank you for introducing me to the other guy. Thanks a lot. Have a great day, buddy. Big hugs. That was it. And like, how many people take the time nowadays to do that stuff? Nobody.
No one does. Yeah. It's just, like the gratitude. People appreciate that, and it'll put a smile on his face. It'll make him happy for the rest of the day. You know, you left a mark and you spread a positive energy throughout, and that comes back to you. As you said, the reciprocity.
Yeah. Totally.
So Jeff, I wanna shift the conversation a bit now. So you live and do business in South Africa a little bit. Can you discuss the pros and cons of doing business here?
Yeah, good question, buddy. So, you know, when I first moved here kind of 5 years ago, moved here, it was during COVID time. Unfortunately, I applied for my residency, my residency. And they finally gave me my answer 3 years later. I was allowed to stay here and stuff, no problem. We employ a lot of people here, a lot. And, and the answer was no. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You know, we pay every month hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes. And you just told me no. What do you want me to leave the country? And I'm sitting here thinking, but what was the problem? He said, well, you applied during COVID time and you're in South Africa. But I'm like, well, I'm in South Africa because I couldn't leave. Right? I couldn't leave. It's COVID time. So that's when I applied. And I said, it's the lawyers that did all that. Like, no, I didn't apply. The lawyers have done it all. Like, I'm sure they know what they're doing. And I'm sure you know what you're doing too. But that's just not reasonable. A reasonable conclusion is not what you just came up with. He's like, well, you should have left the country and made your application. I'm like, how many times do I have to tell you that I couldn't leave the country? What don't you get, right? Anyway, long story short, for me, that was kind of the awakening of really dumb thinking. And I'm thinking, like, that's the guy at Home Affairs. Well, I know who it is at Home Affairs. It's as high as you can go. That's who signed off on it. I'm like, are you that dumb? Well, like, do you want me just to close up shop and put a couple hundred people out of work? Does that make you feel happy? Like, what a dumb decision. So anyway, long story short, the more I started, understanding these things and learning about, like, the banking system here is just pathetic. We have consultants that have consultant agreements with M2Bio. These things have to go through the bank, and then they have to go through Home Affairs. They have to be approved. I'm like, why do you guys need to approve these employees? What are you going to tell me they're not worthy of their job? Like, who are you people? Do you want to run my business? And the amount of red tape when I bring money into the country, unreal. What am I using the money for? It's like, dude, I've been here 5 years. The money every month is used for the exact same thing. Like every month, want the same answer? What's wrong with you? So it's all of these things that for a businessman are very, very upsetting. And it's not pro-business whatsoever. In Dubai, you just follow the rules. You do what you do. There is a heavy vetting system in Dubai, UAE. So that's good. I like that. In order to become a resident, you gotta invest a lot of money. You have to invest a lot of money in your residency application and stuff. And then you've got to pass all the sniff tests, right? Police checks and this check and that check. And once you've done that, you're in. Go to the bank, open up bank accounts, this, that, like everything you can ever imagine. Here, it's just, there's none of that. And it's like, and that's what's killing this country is foreigners like me that have nightmare scenarios like that. They say, why bother? Why bother putting up with this? And that's what's got to really change. Like home affairs and all these joints, they need to be cleaned out. They need to be completely cleaned out. Bring in technology, bring in people that have expertise in that arena, and start being pro-business for South Africa, not anti-business, pro-business.
For sure. That's what's going to create the job.
I could wave the flag of this country all day long and bring in business. But I wouldn't, because I know most of my friends would think I'm nuts. But fortunately for me, I don't live here full time. Like I'm being honest. Like when I go back to Dubai, I feel great. No stress, no crime, no stealing, booming economy, no poverty, like nothing. Everything there is beautiful. What can I say? It is expensive. I get it. It is all that, but it is beautiful. It's like Disneyland, right? And then you come back to here and it's kind of like, if someone just made the effort, not just one guy, but if a bunch of guys stood up and said, we've had enough, we need to make changes. Like the Camps Bay guy in real estate, you get together with 25 other people and you say, we need to make housing for 5,000 people. We're going to take this land from the government and we're going to use these kind of low income, modular homes or whatever it is. And that's what we're going to do. And make that the start. And it all goes back to, in my opinion, to the broken glass theory. Do you know that?
No, I don't.
So it's a very good one to know. You can watch, you can look it up on YouTube as well. So the broken glass theory is a proven theory that shows if a person breaks a window on a street and that window does not get repaired, in a day or two, the next shop will have their window broken. The next shop, the next shop, the next shop. And that's called the broken glass theory. But what if you fix the first one, then the guys that are out there causing the trouble, breaking glass, breaking all the windows, they start to say, well, there's no point in breaking windows because they just come back and fix them all the time. We have to go find somewhere else to do this. So if you don't take the time and you don't make the effort to make these things happen, it's never going to happen. So that's why I keep on saying, unfortunately, I don't, as much as I love the fact that I can see more activity in Cape Town, I can see it. But there's still all these other issues that I see are not being taken care of. And because, in my opinion, there aren't enough people standing up and waving the flag and saying, guys, we need to get together. We need to fix this. We need to fix that. We need to fix this. And I just don't see much of that. I think a lot of people, I know a lot of people here don't want to get involved. I hear that all the time. Right?
Yeah, no one wants to be accountable.
Yeah, I don't want to get involved in that stuff. It's I'll just hide in my own. No, I'm okay. Leave me alone. That's not going to move this country forward. You need people to stand up and say, to make this country great, we need to do X, Y, and Z. And then you got to, I could get into a whole talk about all this stuff, but most importantly, law and order. Without law and order, you have chaos. And the amount of stuff that goes on in a city where no one's held accountable for doing things. It's mind-boggling. It's not just here, Josh. In the US, it's no different. I mean, people are holding protests, burning down monuments, fighting with police, and nothing happens. It's like, that's America? Are you kidding me? Look at Trump getting, picked off in an assassination attempt last weekend. It's like, that's America?
Yeah.
Like, what is going on in this world? But for me, it just comes down to accountability. There's just not enough of it anymore. People don't get in trouble for things. And I guess that's part of getting older and part of my upbringing. Like if I did something wrong, I can tell you I was held accountable. And
for sure.
And nowadays it's kind of like, little Johnny. Well, Johnny suffers from ADD. That's okay that he burnt down the school. Well, I'm sorry, that's not okay. No. Little Johnny goes to jail. He gets a psychiatrist. He gets attention, but he's there for 5 years. Little Johnny will learn in jail, I can assure you. But to let all these people out all the time because they suffer from this or they suffer from that, it's like, no, I'm sorry, man. There's got to be accountability.
No, there has to be. You're right. And once we get that sorted, then and we allow people, we encourage the investment, we encourage people to do business here and get their residency. Then it creates jobs for the population. The economy will do better. So if we can get that right,
100%.
Then sky's the limit, eh? Yeah. So let's hope that they can get that right.
And what a beautiful city! Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's stunning. And I think you've already covered that last question that I had. So let's move on. With the current economic landscape, what investment strategies are you focusing on? Are there any emerging markets or sectors you believe hold significant potential for growth?
UAE. So everything for me is all UAE and Singapore based.
I see. Okay.
You've got the highest IQ in the world in Singapore. You have a group of people that just don't get involved in the same thing in the UAE. It's like they don't get involved in protests or things like that. Or in Singapore, for instance, if you want to have a protest, you go online, you fill out a form. There's an area, a protest square. You fill it out and you say, hey, I want to protest, the tea in coming out of Kenya is no good. So you go, you protest, and if people want to come and listen to your protest, well, they're more than welcome to come and listen. So you go in the square, rah, 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 and then it's over. From 11 till 12, police are there, all safe, and at 12 o'clock, sorry, okay, you're done, get out of here. Next protest, please. But like these other things that are happening around the world where protesters pop up, they're like pop-up shops. Oh, let's have a protest. These things like that are crazy. So in the UAE, in Singapore, these things don't happen. There's no poverty. There's no crime. The people are so nice to each other. It's unreal. Like it's just, again, it's like fantasy land. Everyone's nice to each other. No one's trying to steal from you. And for me, those are the greatest opportunities for the next, 10, 20 years going forward. So everything related to in the UAE, medicine and technology and artificial intelligence, they're spending billions investing in that. Real estate again, of course. And in Singapore, same thing. The US is becoming a third world nation, a banana republic. Same thing in Canada. Europe is completely messed up and twisted. So for me, you look at two places like the UAE and Singapore, stable governments, no issues, no crime, everything is good, the economies are booming. Singapore is surrounded by, I said earlier, the highest IQ in the world. Like, isn't that what you would want to strive to hang out with? I love it when I'm there. I really do love it when I'm there. We work with some of the greatest guys in AI there. They're all brilliant. They're smart. They want to make great things happen, right? Instead of destroying stuff, they want to make great stuff happen. No different than in the UAE. And you come back, again, to the US or whatever, everyone's trying to break stuff down. Take down that, break this, put that on fire. Huh? What's wrong with people? So if I had children or whatever. Congratulations, Josh, by the way, on you becoming a father, or not a father soon, a husband soon. Unless there's something I don't know.
Not a father yet. Sure.
So
No.
congratulations
Thank you.
on your recent engagement. That's so cool, buddy. But
Thanks so much.
like if I was in your position and I started to think, maybe in a few years I want to move somewhere, have kids or whatever, where would I want to bring up my children? 100% in the UAE or in Singapore. 100%.
Sure. Okay.
And it's
keep
just
in mind.
you give the opportunity to your children to flourish in an incredible environment, right? Your children are going to be a product of not only your learnings and coachings and everything that come from parents, but it's a big product of the environment. And if you can have your kids in a safe environment and not have to worry about stuff, surrounded by other brilliant children, I mean, for me, that's like winning the lottery.
Yeah. No, I think you've hit the nail on the head. Amazing.
Yeah.
I'd like to take a moment to introduce one of my sponsors, Van Zyl Kruger Attorneys. Throughout my career as an agent, I've exclusively worked with Van Zyl Kruger Attorneys, and they have never let me down. I recently had the opportunity to sit down with their director, Eberhard Kruger, to discuss what makes them so exceptional.
Thanks so much for meeting me today. For those of you that don't know, Eberhard is the director of Van Zyl Kruger Attorneys. What makes Van Zyl Kruger Attorneys stand out from other conveyancing firms or legal firms?
Hello Josh, thank you for the opportunity. Property, which is the majority of our services. It's an emotional ride for most people, and it's the biggest transaction they'll probably conclude in their life. So whether it's a 100,000 rand transfer or 100 million rand transfer, we try to treat each client the same and make it a special experience for them.
What other services do you offer your clients at Van Zyl Kruger?
We do a bit of everything, to be quite honest. We do litigation, civil, criminal, commercial, a wide range of services. There's pretty much everything that we do, or someone inside that specializes in it. So we try to help every single client that walks through the doors.
Eberhard, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you very much for chatting to me, Josh, and good luck with your career, my man.
Sure.
And so I've covered that, sorry. So that's fascinating. Can you elaborate on the key factors you consider when evaluating these opportunities? Like, additionally, how do you stay informed on market trends and make adjustments to, let's say, I think this is a little bit out of the context of what you just said, but how do you stay informed, and kind of if you're adjusting your investment portfolio, how would you do that?
So great question. So how do I stay informed? You got to start early in the day. So I start my day at about 2 a.m. every day. So obviously I'm putting in probably 2 times. Huh?
When do you sleep?
I go to bed at like 8 o'clock.
Okay.
So I get a good 6 hours in.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm not a night guy. I love the day, and I get up early. No one bothers me. At 2 a.m. here, I'm still contacting my friends back in the East Coast. We're working together. So that's all good, works well. I get a picture, a good handle on what they did, what I need to think of, what I need to do. And it's funny, I'll go to the gym at 4:30. The Virgin is right here. It opens at 4:30. I'll get on the treadmill for an hour. I'll take my tablet with me. I'll watch the news, catch up on what's happening. And it's 5:30. I'm back here doing more work. And next thing you know, it's like 7 o'clock. I feel like I've already put in a full day, and it's only 7 a.m. So in terms of staying up to date and being current and all that stuff, I am a news junkie. I love what's going on in the world. I'm always connected. But also I'm doing things like this, Josh. Speaking with guys like you and understanding like the younger generation. What are they doing? What do they got going on? Speaking with the older generation, what do they got going on? Like all day long, I'm incommunicado with somebody, usually via video. So, I'm always doing that type of stuff every day, meeting new people, many, many video calls each and every day. So
amazing.
It's about getting.
So that's how you.
It's about getting that global perspective.
Amazing, awesome, and
it's so important.
Yeah. And so we're coming to the end of the episode, and I always like to ask every single guest this question. What advice do you have for young people looking to become successful entrepreneurs?
I am going to say what I said earlier, which is build your network. And it's funny here, I often ask, are you on LinkedIn? And they'll say to me, what? Are you on LinkedIn? No. And I'll say, okay, here's my card. Open your account, LinkedIn, connect with me, and I will show you what you need to do. I did it recently with a guy at Starbucks, one of the new baristas. And I love this young boy's attitude. Like he would, hey, calls me Mr. Jeff. Hey, Mr. Jeff, how are you doing? How's your weekend? He asked me, like, what book are you currently reading? I'm like, what a great question. Or one day he's asked me, do you play any musical instruments? I'm like, yeah. And I said, what about you? And he goes, yeah, I sing at the choir on Sundays. I love singing. Like, I'm going, this kid is so cool. So I got him on LinkedIn. He joined on LinkedIn. And every day I told him, go make 3 or 4 connections. Just add people in your industry, coffee or restaurant, whatever it is. And then eventually your network is what you're always going to be able to call on at some point. Like a guy like me. You may want to say to me in 2 years from now, hey, Jeff, I want to go to Dubai. How do I get there? Oh, well, let me put you in touch with, you want to work in the restaurant industry? Let me put you in touch with Tasha from Tasha's. Many people from Cape Town, Joburg, go to Tasha's. They work in the UAE at all the Tasha's there. Here you go. Direct contact right here on my WhatsApp. That's the power of building your network. And would I do that for him? 100%. Because he makes that effort all the time to try and improve every day. And I can tell you, he's not coming from the greatest community in Cape Town, right? So he's learned somewhere he loves to watch YouTube videos. He reads a ton. So read, build your network, and always be curious. Like, learn every day. Learn what makes people tick. Learn how to communicate, right? So, I could go on and on and on, I guess, but for me, I guess build your network would be the most important one.
Amazing. I think that's very important. And if you want to what do they say? If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together, or something like that. You've got to have good you've got to have good people around you if you want to be successful in anything. You can't do it alone. 100%. Couldn't agree more. Yeah, so Jeff, I just want to say a massive thank you for giving up your time this morning to join me on the podcast. I've learned a lot from you in terms of AI, in terms of building my network. I need to get on LinkedIn and do some more stuff on LinkedIn, I realized from this episode today. And also about Cape Town and South Africa and what we need to do to make this country better so that we can encourage more foreign investments and have a better economy and a better livelihood for everybody that lives here. So I just want to say a massive thank you. Thanks for sharing your wisdom with us. And I can't wait to catch up with you again soon. Yeah,
for sure, bro. I love what you're doing. Good work. And we'll chat soon. So it's so cool to see where you're at, buddy. Well done.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. And well done on everything you've done with M2Bio. Cool.
Thanks, John.
Cheers.